will be a detailed video description of how I count my macros. I'm going to talk about the apps that I use, how I know how much of each thing to eat. I know it can be confusing, macros versus calories and how they all come together, eating out at like restaurants and stuff when you don't know what's in your food and all that kind of stuff. So let's start from the top. There's protein, which is for muscle building, and it really satisfies your hunger. So that's really important to get, and everyone should get a lot of protein. I think it's like if you want to build muscle, you should have as many grams of protein as your body weight is. So in terms of carbs are good for you. You can't go without carbs. I mean, maybe you're on a keto diet and that works for you or whatever, but carbs are your energy. That is what's going to make your workouts effective. That's going to make you have the energy to live, to do your workouts, to live your life. I, without carbs, would fall over. Like, I just wouldn't survive. So carbs can be anything from a sweet potato to bread to, I don't know, like I try to have like whole grain carbs, so like whole grain breads and sweet potatoes instead of white potatoes, and like sprouted grain bread. I have a lot of multigrain bagels. Carbs are great. You know, the bad carbs would be processed sugar, not natural sugar, corn syrup, like a white bread or a white pasta. But if you have, you know, the more sustainable carb versions, that's all good for you. That's going to be good for your body, and depriving yourself of that is honestly just doing yourself a disservice, because you're not going to be able to work out as hard as you might want to. I try to eat natural sugars and whole grains. I also love fats. I love healthy fats like nuts, nut butters, seeds, avocados. Those are all really, really delicious. You want to have unsaturated fats, saturated fat, things in like butter, fatty fats, I guess you could say, like in a cheeseburger and fries, like whatever it's like fried in, like that kind of stuff. That's all bad fat. Unsaturated fats like nuts and avocados, they're the things that are going to keep you going. They're really, really good for your body, your skin. They have a lot of protein in them usually too, so those are all really good. So I think when you're trying to count your macros, you don't want to have, you know, one or the other. You want to have protein, carbs, and fats, especially in every single meal, and that's what's going to be really effective, especially before a workout and after a workout. You should be having something with protein and carbs before a workout and something with protein and carbs after a workout to maximize muscle growth and recovery during that workout. I think it's so important. It's like food is really your fuel, and I think it's really interesting to look at it that way versus I need to eat less, I need to eat this amount of calories, I need to eat this amount of, like, I can't go over this number. I think it's better to look at it as like, oh, I'm gonna do a killer workout, so I need to have this amount of carbs, or else I'm not gonna be able to work out, and then I'm not gonna be as fit as I wanna be. So yeah, I like to look at it as fuel, macro and micronutrients. So that would be like antioxidants and berries and like in like a green, like a leafy green. Those are all things to consider. You know, you just want to eat healthy, and you really want to be fueling your body with the right amount of things. You don't want to think about cutting things out. In terms of macros versus calories, I like to follow like the right amount of calories that I should be eating, and then the right like percentage of macros within that. It's kind of a balance of both. I think counting calories and counting macros and kind of not going off of either number more specifically, but kind of molding them together is really what I do. So if I eat a high amount of calories that day, that's great. I just make sure my macro percentages are like close to what they should be for that percentage of calories. I use two different apps to count and track and everything like that. The first one, and I'm sure it's one that many of you guys have used, it's called MyFitnessPal. It looks like this. You put in your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, and you can basically look up any food or scan a barcode for any food, and it'll come up. Like, for example, I just had kombucha today from Kavita, so I just scan the barcode and it adds the macros in here. So you have like a list of all the things you've eaten throughout the day, which is super useful, and you can just keep track of everything. At the end of the day, you can go into the nutrition section and hit nutrition, and it tells you like how much protein you need left, the total amount of protein you've had, your goal for the day, and then how much you have left to eat of protein, carbs, fiber, sugar, fat, sodium, all that kind of stuff. So you can keep track of all of the different macros in like the nutrition section. So calories would be in the calorie section, and then I kind of go off of that, and then I can use the macros on there as well, which is super convenient. The thing I do like to say about MyFitnessPal is that sometimes their goals for you can be a little bit off-putting. On here it says that my goal is to eat 1,740 calories a day, which, as you guys know, is so low. In fact, that's literally like practically half what I eat in a day. So I don't use this for goals. I only use this purely to track the amount of calories I'm eating, but also the macros. It's just easier that way to type everything into here, and then you can see a breakdown of how much protein you had for the day, how many carbs, how much fat, all that kind of stuff. And then what's nice about this app is that this app actually syncs to my Fitbit app. So I wear a Fitbit, keeps track of my steps, the calories I burn, my heart rate, all that kind of stuff. And I have it in here. This is what it looks like. And it has like the steps, the calories that I burned, my heart rate, 13,000 steps today apparently. And it has like the amount of calories that I burned and the amount of calories, and it syncs here. So it tells you like the amount of food that you should eat based on your goal. So mine is set from a long time ago. I don't really reset them, but mine is always set from like, I think it has it set to like eat 500 calories less than I burn, but I never follow that. I usually eat right around the number that I burn. So if it tells me, right now it's saying I burned 1,800 calories so far today, and it's about 5 o'clock. So at the end of the day, hopefully it'll say like 2,500-ish, just to whatever. I still have to work out. So yeah, whatever that says, I usually try to eat as much as that. So that keeps track of steps, heart rate, and all that kind of stuff throughout the day. So it tells you exactly how much you burned throughout the day. That's why I love wearing it everywhere I go. And I like to eat pretty much equal to what I burned, or more, because I'm trying to build muscle. If you're trying to lose fat, I would say you'd want to eat in a little bit of a deficit to that, but nothing drastic, no starvation or anything like that. But yeah, I think that's just a good way to see where you're at, so you can either eat in a surplus or a deficit, whatever you need to do. So yeah, I like to use MyFitnessPal and my Fitbit app and my actual Fitbit to determine how much I should eat and how much I should be eating in a breakdown of macros. In terms of like, oh, what works for me, how many macros should I have? I don't really follow MyFitnessPal's macro count. I follow it like slightly, but I like to kind of just do what works for me. So I like to eat really high in fat, really high in carb. So I just go over every day on those, and that's just the way it is. I basically just use it to tell me how much it is, so that let's say one day I eat a lot of one particular macro and I don't feel great the next day, or I eat a lot of one particular macro and I feel really energized and really great. It's just a good way to keep track of which macros work for me, because macros are different for everyone. Maybe you thrive off of high fat, maybe you thrive off of high carb. Everyone needs a lot of protein, so that's just a no-brainer. But maybe you like to have less sugar or more sugar. That's just kind of a way. So I'd say use these apps as a guide to understand yourself, but don't use it as like the end-all be-all of like, this is what I need to be doing. Just use it to just observe your own habits and just kind of become aware of what you're putting in your body and if it works for you. In terms of what I eat, let me kind of pull up like a normal day for me. So any given day, I always am striving to get more protein. Usually not getting enough, unfortunately, which is really hard, especially because I'm on a plant-based diet right now. An amazing day is like 130 grams of protein. A good day is like 110. That's like what I really strive to get to. I usually have between 350 to 400 grams of carbs a day. I eat a lot of carbs because I do a lot and I'm very active. So I need carbs for energy. I eat also a lot of fiber, which it's just because I eat a lot of oatmeal and like vegetables, but I probably eat too much fiber. And then sugar, I usually eat around 100 grams of sugar a day. And fat, it's usually between like 110 to 130 grams a day of fat. This is all according to MyFitnessPal. And that's just what works for me. I don't know why it works for me, but I've done trial and error. I've done the increase of calories over time, and this is just what works for me now. It keeps me going, it keeps me fit and strong and healthy. I don't know if that will work for you, but that's just what works for me. Also, I do want to say, if you guys haven't seen already, I made a couple of videos on reverse dieting, which is what I've been doing since November of 2017? Yes, since November of 2017, I've been reverse dieting, which is when you slowly increase your calories over time. I was eating like 1,200 calories a day, or at least attempting that. And over time, I slowly built up my calories to where I am now, which is around 3,000 calories a day, which is so exciting. And yeah, I eat a lot of food. I'm very active. I try to work out, or at least be active every day, getting stronger and building muscle. I built up my metabolism by eating more. So that's where I'm at now. You might not be here. You can get there, I swear. If you haven't seen my reverse dieting video, just go check that out. It has all the information. Also check out Natasha Ocean on YouTube with all her reverse dieting stuff, because that's where I learned all of my reverse dieting tips. So go check her out, she's awesome. In terms of calories in, calories out, sometimes I do my best to do that. So like whatever I burn, I eat. Whatever I eat, I burn, whatever. I do go over a lot, which is good because I'm trying to build muscle. So that is great. Going over isn't a bad thing for me. And sometimes I'm a little bit under, but barely ever. Like maybe I'll be like 100 calories under one day. And that's just pretty rare, just because I need to eat to keep going. I used to go like hours and hours without eating because my metabolism was shut down, but now my metabolism goes so fast that if I don't eat for like 2 hours, I feel dizzy, I'm mad, I'm not happy. So I don't really go under, and I don't want to lose any weight. So I try not to go under my calories, but I go over a lot. When I'm eating a jar of peanut butter, I go over a lot. When I'm just eating calorically dense foods, I go over, and that's totally fine. Do what's right for your body. Just kind of use these apps as a guide. See, this is just like my experience, so hopefully it will help you. I don't know exactly what will work for you. The key really is to know how much you're burning, so you know what to put in your body, and just to keep track of like, wow, I'm eating a lot of sodium, so like maybe that's why I feel so bloated, or I'll cut back on sodium, or wow, I'm really not eating enough protein. So my last thing I want to talk about is if you're eating out of the restaurant versus eating in, like how do you determine how many calories are in your meal? What I do is if I'm at a restaurant, I just estimate, and that's totally fine. Let's say I go to a restaurant and I get like a salad with a ton of berries on it and like balsamic vinaigrette dressing, and it has like sauteed tofu. I'll look up like, okay, sauteed tofu, like berries, and I'll like look up the ingredients very loosely, kind of guess how much it'll be and put it in, and it's totally fine. It's not gonna be the end of the world if it's not exact. Although a lot of restaurants, if you go to Sweet Green, or if you go to Dig In, or if you go to Patisserie, or I guess a lot of the restaurants that I go to, chain restaurants do have macros available online, or you can just ask for like a simple list of ingredients for your meals. If you're cooking at home, you might just want to do like, okay, so this is what I put in, this is about the amount. You don't necessarily need to like measure it or something, and just kind of guess it out. Just kind of guesstimate, and it doesn't need to be perfect because nothing is perfect. You know, maybe your Fitbit's slightly off. Maybe the calorie amount at a restaurant that they said it would be is slightly more or less than it is, and like that's something that you can't control. So just try to estimate it, just try to be close. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be exact. Some days I go out and I'm just like, you know what, I can't count these macros. Like it's just too complicated. There's too many oils and sauces and spices, and like I don't even know what's in this, and I can't count the macros. And you know what, that happens, and that's totally fine. You don't need to be perfect every day, you don't need to be exact every day, but it's just cool to kind of understand what you're putting in your body. That's basically it. That's how I count my macros. I use those apps, I kind of go with it. I do my best to understand what I need to put in my body. I try to get enough of what I need. It is pretty complicated, but you know what, it doesn't need to be perfect. I really hope you guys like this video. I know a lot of people have been asking me, how do you count macros? How much do I need? Or this, that, and the other thing. So I really hope this was helpful, and thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said in my last video, I'm gonna be doing videos every single week for the foreseeable future. I have a new laptop, so I'm super excited. So leave any like comments down below of what you want to see. I'm super excited, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys.